Hi, I'm Heather Baer, and I'm an epidemiologist and an assistant professor at Harvard Medical School and the Harvard School of Public Health. I'm going to be giving you a series of lectures that go over the foundations of epidemiology. And the title of my lecture today is Epidemiology, Introduction and Outcome Measures. So just to give you an overview of what I'm going to be talking about today and over the next series of lectures. Today, during this lecture, we're going to be talking about the definition and goals of epidemiology, different types of measurement scales that we use in epidemiology, and specifically focusing a lot of our time on binary outcome measures, which are used quite often in epidemiology. Clinical epidemiology is really a subset within the field of epidemiology, and clinical epidemiology is defined as the practice of epidemiology that Now, as epidemiologists, and I think also as clinicians, we tend to focus a lot on Now let's go back and talk about the incidence proportion in a bit more detail. As I mentioned, other terms that are used for incidence proportion are cumulative. Some examples of incidence proportion are these that I've shown here. So among men aged 55 to 59, 1% will have their first heart attack within the next year. Or the chance of developing invasive breast cancer over a woman's lifetime is a little less than 1 in 8, or 12%. This would be considered to be lifetime risk. But one thing I'd like to point out, and that I've underlined on the slide, is that the time referent is very important when you're talking about incidence proportion. So saying that a woman, for example, has a lifetime risk of 12% of developing breast cancer is very different than saying that a woman's risk of developing breast cancer over the next year is 12%. So for this reason, when we're talking about incidence proportion, you need to be very specific about the time period that you're talking about. A few general comments about the So competing risks refers to a phenomenon where subjects develop another outcome, which makes them no longer at risk for developing gradually over time. Or we could have really a risk. And the problem with it is it doesn't